producing country and a resource-dependent country, whether it is solid minerals or the oil and gas, we must realize that we must be the first to go to the market. And you can't go first to the market except you are able to produce cheap, quickly, and also to have the right buyers for your product. We have a huge challenge in this industry, all our members. I understand the purpose of this visit, but I need to make this very clear to all of us. That today, people are not investing in our industry, in the Nigerian industry. There are a number of doubts by investors of international repute, for the very simple reason that we do not have stable fiscal environment. We do not have, and that may be their belief, we do not have a competitive fiscal environment. Our laws keep changing. We are not consistent managers of contracts, and we change our minds about our contracts. And the end result is that they cannot plan with us. So what oil companies do, and it's impossible to operate this industry without having international oil companies or international investment of all sorts. And we all know that there's not sufficient capital in this country to fund everything that we are doing in the upstream and the entire oil and gas industry. So we know that we need outsiders to invest. But they will not do it except we have stable fiscal regime, we have reliable laws, we keep to our contracts, and more importantly, that they can predict what we'll do next. And this is absent. And I'm sure all remember you are aware that in the last 20 years or so, there is consistent effort to put in place the Petroleum Industry Bill. This hasn't come to pass. The result is that when companies want to invest, they will see us as a very high-risk business environment. They invest in portfolios, and when they go to boards to make decisions, the issue of why must I put my money here always comes. And this is a challenge this committee, and I know I'm aware of all the engagements that are going on, that we need to act very quickly to transit from this current unstable situation to a very stable fiscal situation. And there's no other way of doing it today, honorable members and chairman, than for us to get the PIB to work. It has to come on the table, it has to become a law, so that countries and investors can plan with us. And without this, every talk around people telling you, I'll bring 2 billion naira into your country, 10, 5, you hear all kinds of stories. Nobody will do it. Because they have to know when they invest, can they recover their costs? Will they make profit from those investments? They are not CSOs. Oil companies and oil investments are not civil society organization kind of activity. They are not here to help you. They are here to help you so that they can make money from it. That's the only condition they will help you. So as long as they can predict this, they will not be with you. And that's why I'm sure you must have seen in the last 10 years, a number of divestments have taken place in this industry by multinational oil companies. The reason is very, very simple and clear, that they cannot continue to invest in these assets when they are not sure of your laws, when they don't think that you are adjusting to competition, that your fiscal environment is not as competitive as others. So you have to move to that direction. That's why everyone is divesting. The only way to stop this so that people can put their money here is for us to get the right laws in place. And secondly, honorable members, there's a bigger threat that we have. Liquidity issues in our country. As we all know, oil and gas constitutes a very significant portion of federal government and state revenues, including to the local governments. And you may be curious to discover or to know today, and I'm sure many of you may be aware, is that there is a very clear relationship between oil prices and revenues even coming from non-oil sources, the customs services, the FIRS. And I'm sure you know this, but it is not obvious because we have seen data to prove to us that there's always a fluctuation or rise or fall in such secondary revenues whenever oil crises are challenged. And we have seen this play out during this COVID-19. That you may be aware that from high numbers of remittances by all the federal government agencies to the Federation account of close to 800 billion in a month, we have gone down to 600. We will go down lower as long as this crude oil price level subsists. We reacted in a way to resolve this. And there's two ways you can do to contain this. when prices fall, you reduce supply. And the way to reduce supply is to cut your production. So Nigeria, and of course by extension NNPC, joined the all to cut production. So you may be aware that on the 17th of April, Honorable Chairman, our production reached 2.45 million barrels per day on one day. That was the result of consistent actions that we took that brought us to that level. But by the 17th of April and thereabout, we are forced, because oil was selling at below $10, that we are forced to cut our supply. It means we cut our production. Today, we are doing something very close to 1.7 million barrels per day from the high of 2.45 million barrels per day. The difference is huge. And it has implications for revenues, because even with that, we are not able to recover to the price level of the pre-COVID period. We are still hovering around $40, $42 to the barrel. Actually, last week, it went down below $40. So we also know from the markets and from the demand and supply balance that we do not see a situation where oil prices could exceed the $45 mark for the next 2 years. It means we are going to remain at this income level, probably even at this production level. And the only thing we could do was to cut costs on our members. And that has worked. But it comes with consequences, because we cannot increase production, and you cannot promote activities in the industry, and therefore, consequently, you're going to have a lot of impact on activities going on in the oil and gas industry. As a rider to that, Honorable Chairman, we also have to cut our budgets. From the high levels that we created for the 2020 fiscal year, which the Honorable National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Representatives passed the Appropriation Act 2020. I'm sure you are aware that there's a revision. That revision meant that upstream cost is cut by at least 50%. It means you are barely able to maintain production activities and you are not able to do new projects, so that you can survive this situation and move on. But we have no sight around when this will end. The best of forecasts say that could be so up to the next 2 years. So it means these are very, very, very tough times for this industry. And I needed to make this clarification so that we are aware that we are in this together. We need to work together to do things differently. We need to reduce costs. And you need to support us in reducing costs, because it has its challenges. And the challenges are huge.
This committee is made up of about 54 members, very respectable and responsible. We decided to group the committees and subdivide it such that we will not be seen to be crowded in a place, knowing very well the protocols of the COVID-19. 2 days ago, about 20 members were with me in Lagos for the different visits. And earlier we scheduled, we'll go to each individual entity of the NNPC under the supervision of the Petroleum Committee on Upstream, namely NETCO, IDSL, MPDC, NAPINS, and COMD, and any other upstream sector. We decided to break into 15-15. When we were informed that we are going to have this engagement here, we decided to come with two set groups. It became a challenge for me how to nominate who shall come and who shall not come. For your information, managing your colleagues is the most difficult thing, because we are first among equals. It was with their support and respect that I lead the committee. Though I was nominated by the Speaker and appointed by him as such, but without the support and cooperation of the members, I can't lead the committee. As we are here, we have decided to make it an interactive engagement. And if I could have permission of my colleagues also, I will exempt MPDC and NAPIMS from making any explanation, because we had been to their places earlier. They had briefed us through of their activities, But NETCO, IDSL, COMD, and the other upstream sector which I have not mentioned here, we have never met them. We have never known them. In fact, as a matter of fact, I spoke once to the MD IDSL on telephone, and I think the MD, COMD, or Petroleum Crude Marketing. I spoke one time with each of them. So this is an opportunity for us to meet them, to know them, and for them to know us. So the time we have here may not allow every one of you to explain your functions and activities to this committee. And I would like to also inform the GMD, we will arrange a sequel time where it is convenient for both you and us to go on oversight. The oversight, as I understand by the Parliament, is meant to see the facilities, to assess your challenges, to know how to help you more to overcome such challenges, and at the same time to be able to go through your books which you have submitted to us. Since the assumption of this committee, we have made it very clear. We are very ready to cooperate with you to amend all the laws, even to enact new laws that will give you an enabling environment to operate freely and to attract foreign and local investments. We had expected the PIB to have been submitted before us, before now. I know it has reached certain stage. At any moment, it could be submitted to us, and I wish to assure you, the Parliament, especially this Committee on Petroleum Upstream, is very much ready for it. The budget of this country is being premised based on expectations of revenues from the NNPC. So in as much as we are alive to these facts and are responsible to represent our constituents very well for the development of this country, we must give the necessary support. Any law that is archaic, that needs to be suspended, we'll suspend it for the NNPC. Anyone that needs to be amended, and if new one needs to be created, we'll enact a new law that will give them enabling power so that they can discharge their duties without any hindrance. So far, there have been some challenges they have faced. We are not unaware of that, but notwithstanding, we equally appreciate the effort they are putting in place, especially towards accountability and transparency. And the lectures we received from most of the stakeholders of the petroleum upstream sector, we are so much happy and we are glad that we are having vibrant young people in those capacities, people who are also determined to take the industry to the next level. We hope this will lead us to compete with all the global international oil marketers and oil producers. And we also pray in the near future there will be no more IOCs in this country. Our petroleum industry should be dominated by Nigerians only.